All right. So the first thing I want to talk about with Google is going to be the competitive advantage that they have. Google's biggest competitive advantage is the search engine itself. Google doesn't stand pat with that search engine. It's constantly evolving, and they're constantly making updates to the engine to make it quicker, to make it faster, to make it more reliable. And that's really their biggest competitive advantage in the market. In 2013, they held 67% of the market share for search engines. As of February 2017, that number has risen to over 80%. It's 80.52% of the market share for search engines. And that's just a huge advantage that they have over every other person or every other company that they're competing with. They're able to generate revenue from ads from those search engines. And it's allowed them to enter new markets and to make new products and to reach more people than they already had before. Another one of their competitive advantages is their people. The diversity at Google, and each person that works there can call themselves a Googler. Those people help Google move forward. Each Googler is encouraged to work on pet projects at home, away from work, kind of their own little babies. And when those projects are completed, they're brought to Google, and then they're shared with the public to determine which ones would be profitable and moving forward with, which ones the market would be interested in seeing. And Google goes from there. And so that really allows each employee to feel like they're making a difference in the company and to help the company evolve. And then that diversity among the team members. No two people think alike or do two things alike. And so this has allowed them to tackle problems and issues from many different angles. And it's allowed them to think out of the box in many ways because no two people think alike. So their biggest strategy over at Google is just trying to get people on the internet as often as possible. And when they're on the internet and they're making searches, Google wants the search engine to be as quick and as accurate as possible. That's why it's constantly evolving. They're constantly updating it. They also want to increase access to the internet, to the web. And one of the ways that they've been able to do that, Google has gotten into the phone market. So that brings the internet to people's hands. So not only do they have it at their computers, now they have it on their handheld devices. Not to mention that Google has apps, even for the iPhones and things like that. You can get Google search engine. You can get a Google app so that you have access just to Google's side. It doesn't have to be through the local search engine or anything like that. And then the diversity among its employees, like I mentioned a second ago, that's the other part of their strategy that they have. As far as a strategic group, Google, Microsoft, and Apple are all kind of bunched together to varying levels of success, obviously. But these are all pretty much at the top of their respective markets. And the funny thing about it is, or the interesting thing about it is, they all started with one product, and then they were so well at that they were able to move forward and really grow and diversify the company portfolio. Google started with just the search engine, like I mentioned before. Now you have Google phones and things like that. Microsoft and Apple both started out just as computer makers. Microsoft has branched out with, Internet Explorer. They have their own search engine in Bing, Microsoft Office, the Xbox One, the Xbox 360. Those, and the Xbox One on that was supposed to be, when it first came out, it was started as being online all the time. Which, if you notice, that's something very similar to what Google wanted. They wanted everybody to be online as much as possible. Apple started out with computers, like I said, then they ventured the iPhone, the iPad. That's really helped diversify their portfolio and reach more people. And then once again, it's bringing the internet to the customer's hands. It's making it as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. You know, these things are not just here in the US, they're across the world. And so across the world, you have everybody getting online, which makes it even that much more impressive that Google holds an 80% market share for search engines, especially when you consider that Apple has Safari and Microsoft has Bing, and, you know, they're not the only ones with search engines, and Google's is just so much better, or the people respect it so much more that they're willing to just use that as much as possible. And then one of the other things that all three have in common is diversity among its employees. They all believe that diversity is a reason for their success, and allows each of the companies to think outside of the box. They're all multinational companies, and so they have people from all over that are bringing new ideas to the table, how to make things better, how to innovate, how to make new things that the customers would want. And then here I just have the stock chart over the last 5 years for each of the companies. Google's going to be in blue, which you can see is sitting at 164.93% as of January 2017. Then you have Microsoft in green, Apple in red, which is kind of shaded over by the S&P, which is in yellow. But each company, you'll see, has its ups and downs, but for the most part, you know, they're all moving forward since over the last 5 years. They've all gained in their stocks, and that's really all that I have. Lanka's going to be next. She's going to be doing our conclusion. Thank you.